Hey everybody, it's a good Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm gonna have to play that back so I can make sure y'all can hear me. I need to play that back, make sure the sound is good. Let me see. Try to throw some on y'all in the background. So hard just to find some that that would actually work right there. There we go. That could work. All right. We have some topics today. Let me check the sound and make sure I'm not just talking into the void. Hopefully, you all had a safe weekend and you're getting ready for another great weekend of 4th of July. We had Juneteenth last week, if I'm not mistaken. Well, not last week, but the week before that. Now we have 4th of July. All right, that sounds good. So everything sounds good on sound. We plugged up. We back in the home field. And higher education, we got our supposedly changes are supposed to go into effect tomorrow, July 1st. A lot of student loan changes, a lot of program return on investment changes. You possibly for undergraduates, you possibly won't be able to get federal funding if your program is not doing a great return on eye at a particular school. What's another one? Private loans, private student loans are apparently expected to double. We're going to cover that a little bit. So we have a lot of changes coming. I wonder why is it doing that again? That is crazy. I don't know about y'all, but a particular streaming service that plays movies has been acting right. So that's like my good background visuals. Hmm. Um, Trust me, God, I have not forgot about what to do. I'm just thinking. Hopefully, everyone is enjoying their summer too. Summer is almost over already, which is crazy to say. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in the world. Cause I be feeling cut off from the world sometimes, y'all. Like I don't do social media. I don't got the Instagram or nothing. I need to see if I can get back on. I guess be good for the business. I think I don't really know, per se. Not the biggest. Uh, just making okay. Now you want to. Wow. Thank froze the TV. Disclaimer: the videos presented here are for informational purposes only. Are for informational purposes only. Maybe I should say entertainment. And therefore, if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at the institution you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution during this live stream. Speaking on behalf of Creator, Henry is only speaking from his experience. Okay. So let's just keep that in mind as you're getting ready to choose a college. You're getting ready, like, man, I'm gonna go move in. I'm gonna go move in them dorms. I'm about to, look, I'm representing the university right now. But keep that in mind. I started a 2-year college. This is speaking on behalf and the degrees, and I'm your lead. Ain't nobody come see you degrees. That's kind of funny, right? So let's do our shield up. I'm feeling real smooth right now, y'all. I'm feeling like real, like in the bag, as they say in sports. Like I'm in my bag. I'm feeling like I'm in my bag right now. I don't feel rushed. I don't feel like I'm going too fast or too slow. Just like in my bag. So, excuse me. So this is Shio, as you know. Oh, I gotta explain that to y'all. Y'all know what Shio is at this point. But we have some updates from Shio, higher education policy at today's date. You see it right there. National policy press release. U.S. Department of Education issues final rule to hold all colleges and universities accountable for low earning programs. loans. That is very good news for us. To see they're officially announcing that. So that is good. Perfect. So that is good. Then you got the we're actually gonna cover that. That's very important. That's why it's the first thing. Because remember, I said in the beginning that July 1st, a lot of the changes that happened back in July 2025 are now supposed to go to effect tomorrow, supposedly. And so education department, going back to this view, education department finalizes accountability rule with major changes. Federal rule tying college programs to post-grad salaries is finalized. DOJ, Department of Justice, sues 2 more states over in-state tuition for undocumented students. The Parent Plus safety net is gone. Will families know before they borrow? Interesting. New federal loan limits could nearly double private student loan volume in 2026. I think I got that article as well. That's crazy that I found that article on my own. I have that article right now pulled up. We're going to cover that one. Professional degree definition remains contested as student loan changes take effect July 1st. Virginia and Ohio joint effort to design 3-year bachelor's degrees. Higher education groups drop early challenge to Trump DEI orders. State policy changes. Connecticut, Lamont proposes free college level class for high schoolers. Illinois, Villanova. I felt like that was supposed to be Villanova, but it's Villanova. I am definitely showing y'all my pronunciation skills once again. Y'all know me. But the Ville law to expand in-state tuition at public institutions. I'm going to take a look at that. Kentucky podcast, Workforce Pell Watch, valuable funding for every college's mission, university business. Workforce Pell Watch, that has been on the radar for some months. Massachusetts, back-to-back college closures prompt demand for stronger consumer protection. Interesting. Michigan universities expecting little help from state planned tuition hikes for 2026, 2027. Yeah, we talked about that as well before. Seems like that is not changing. 1 year later, Ohio professors say Senate bill won't change how they teach and work. So these are some updates. These are very good updates. I think these are very important updates that's going on in higher ed. Once again, guys, I know you probably don't think this is important. I know that's why you don't click on these videos. I got to keep talking smack about y'all till y'all in here just like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so we keep going. So we got to keep talking like this at y'all. Like, it's very important. A lot of you all are not going to feel these changes until when? Until you get ready to go to college, you start inquiring about questions on things, why this doesn't work or why is this happening, and then you're like getting mad at the institution when it was federal changes, or the state, it was state changes, or you should have been paying attention to who was getting ready to be your governor, your new governor, or this and that, all these midterm runoffs. And then you start realizing that a lot of this is impacted in your start or your journey to life. Like, granted, you might say, did you pay attention to all this, Henry, when you was going? No, but it was really, really, really risky. But once again, if you do what we normally say, you started a 2-year, then bridge to a 4-year under articulation agreement, pathway agreement, that helps you out a lot more, makes it more simple for you to bypass some of these things. Oh, they coming to get y'all. They coming to get y'all. I don't know if y'all heard that. They coming. Okay. And so now let's get to the next segment. Private student loans is the first one. All right. New federal loan limits could nearly double private student loan volume in 2026. Now, the reason that I'm talking about this, well, first, let me pat step a little bit for you. And LinkedIn, I need to say this if y'all ever watch my stuff. LinkedIn, y'all made it this far. LinkedIn, we need to talk about this summer stuff, man. Look at my post impressions, man. Look at that. Everything just dropping. They showing things from 2 weeks ago. It's like, hey, nobody is not on LinkedIn during the summer. It's crazy. But Edward Connery, if I said that right, forgive me, an inside higher ed headline this morning. So this person right here is a higher education and public policy leader with experience across strategic. I believe that's communications. I don't really know the rest. But it says private lenders expected to fill private lenders expected to fill loan limit gap for some. For some, such an important caveat at the end there. Reducing borrowing would be great, all for it. If there was any real plan for what was coming in to replace those funds for students without family wealth, high credit scores, or cosigners to help them take out private loans. Certifying all the private loans. Can y'all see that? Certifying all the private loans was one of my jobs at UCLA. I know exactly the kind of income and credit score private lenders are willing to consider, and there are not many first gen students who can meet the requirements. Now, guys, when I talk about that, because he's talking about private loans, remember, I was a first gen college student. They like to throw first gen, low income, poverty, and all these whoop, 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 right? Saying that when you go to college, like you can't get private loans. I strongly believe, depending on your state, of course, that I wasn't really in the best state to go to college. And what I mean by that is, since I was not in the best state to go to college, I'm not saying Georgia was a terrible state, but it wasn't the best state. It's not like how, every state has its downfalls. A lot of state has their pros. Like, for example, and like I always mention, California has free community college, right? But the downfall of being in California is like what's that called? Cost of living is really high, right? Many say that. So being in Georgia, our college tuition is probably not the most affordable to many, but our cost of living is not too crazy because you can go live in like a certain part of Georgia and save a lot of money and go to school online if you want to do that route, right? So many ways, right? So going back to him, he's talking about how like first gen students are like, look, first gen students normally don't have good credit scores, they don't have family wealth, they don't have none of this that can pretty much give them access to private student loans. I don't know though, because I think they'll be willing to give them the loans. Like I think banks don't really care if I don't know. I'm not a banker when I say this, but I don't think banks too. I don't know. From what I heard, it seemed like private loans are easier to get. I could be wrong. Private student loans are easier to get than student loans. I don't know. Because many people I know who got private student loans didn't seem like they had a hard time. That's what I'm saying from experience. So, so what will we get is another brick in the wall separating the students with the potential to succeed, but without the money to bet on themselves from the freedom of opportunity that education provides. It will mean professions like law and medicine will remain less economically and racially diverse than the people they serve. We are squandering the potential of a generation of young Americans. But they always say we're squandering the potential of young Americans, this and that, young Americans, that and that, young Americans. But I'll be honest with you, older generation. I guess I'm a young American, I guess. Um 27, right? Yeah, I think I'm 27. As a young American who's 27, I guess I don't like when they say that because it's not like their actions are saying one thing. Like we obviously already know Congress is really older, elderly older. A lot of people who are political officials are really older. We got some young people who are like 30s and 40s, shoot, even younger than that, that's in political spaces. But it's just like if you know that, like if y'all know that, I don't know if they know, if y'all know that like we're not having the best advantage and the future is going to be difficult for us, I guess, or difficult now, I don't know. I'm not saying don't mention it, but it's just like you just get tired of the talking. That's why many young Americans now don't care about college. That's why many don't care about college. That's why many are like, yo, is this young man talking about speaking on behalf, not speaking on behalf. He talking about higher education and college on his channel. But it's like, I need to figure out how I'm gonna pay for things now. Like college is not seen as a repertoire right now. It doesn't seem like, I think right now we're not in demand right now. We have a lot of supply for higher ed, but our demand is very low right now for higher ed. Why? Because we are not keeping a promise that we will get you a job once you graduate college. Like that's the realness about higher ed right now. So that's why we give you an organic space about, look, if you go to college, like you come ask me like, will I get a job fresh out of college? I'm gonna tell you like, look, from my experience, when I got my bachelor's, I had a hard time, at least in my industry, I had a hard time stepping into higher education for some reason. That's just my experience. But then when I was getting toward my master's, right before I got my master's, I stepped into another role, but the pay was not really, or is not really up to par to match my years of experience for some reason. And that's what I mean by like, a lot of people are kind of like, yo, college, do I really need to go to college just to make more money? It's like really weird right now. Weird space. I can't tell you what gets you more money in the world right now. But what I can tell you is how to save a lot of money going to college, which is why I'm a big advocate of like, yeah, I believe you don't need to get a traditional degree, but I strongly believe you should. It gives you more flexibility and more maneuvering in today's time. If you don't have a degree, you're stuck at one job. And then if you rely on that one job to teach you like you know, Google or Nvidia, whoever, right? Big company. If they teach you the job and you get their credentials, who's to say it's gonna matter when you go to another organization? So now you're forced to stay at this one organization. Then you see they do layoffs now. Like Meta did a big layoff. I think they said Oracle did a big layoff as well. And a lot of them, these big companies are blaming it on artificial intelligence. One of my students actually at my day job, one of my students they had a nice little six-figure job, older student, but they lost their job apparently to AI. That's what they told me. I don't know how true that is, but it's a real thing happening right now. And so a lot of people are trying to figure out how can they be, I guess you'll say, job proof, recession proof in these times, but which is a conversation today. But it's really hard to be recession proof or job proof in these times. Like it's like things just rapidly change. So you got to be rapidly with the times. I know I gotta keep that lawn hydrated. So going back to this, that's what the person was talking about with the, private student loans, as we're on this segment. New federal loan limits can nearly double private student loan volume in 2026. Now, if you know me, I always talk about the preferred lender arrangement, preferred PLA, preferred lender arrangement. But this is part of that. Starting starting July 1 or July 1st, 2026, the federal government is capping how much graduate students and parents can borrow for college. The federal Grad Plus loan is being eliminated. We've been talking about that. We've been covering that, and it's actually happening tomorrow. It's happening tomorrow. Where's the confettis? Where's the, you know, but and the federal Parent Plus loans will carry fixed annual in aggregate. See, they got all these financial terms in here. Aggregate limits for the first time. For families who have relied on these programs to cover the full cost of attendance, the way they pay for college is about to change. When the federal borrowing falls short, families run to private student loans. When federal borrowing falls short, families turn to private student loans. A new analysis of federal student aid data suggests that suggests that shift could be substantial. A new analysis of federal student aid data suggests that shift. I don't know why they wrote it like that. Suggests that the shift. I think they meant to say that the shift could be substantial. Private student loan volume may increase by as much as 85%, nearly doubling from current levels. I don't know. Disclaimer: not a financial advisor, but if private lending, if private lending, private student loans, or private banks or whatever, like private sector, not federal, like like what's that stuff? What's them banks called? Like the Wells Fargo's and them private banks. Think about it. If they're going to get more loans on student loans, for example, because the federal aid is not going to give you as much money, that's more money for big banks. I don't know if people are in the stock market, but that can be a good sign for banks, dishing out more loans. That's just what it seems like. That's just what it seems like. I'm not a financial advisor. Go ask your financial advisor. But 85% increase in banking, that looks pretty good for them. And I'm not mad at it. I'm going to learn how to capitalize on that opportunity. And so nearly doubling from current levels. That works out to roughly 11.2 billion in additional borrowing that would have run through federal programs under the old rules. That works out to roughly 11.2 billion in additional borrowing that would have run through federal programs under the old rules. Because remember, which we are going to talk about, colleges that are not performing on their programs, guys, are not getting this federal money. So if you want to, what they're saying is, if you want to go, like if you want to do a program that's not giving you a great return on investment, right? Like my major, an organizational leadership major. You want to be an organizational leadership major, and like what you're going to do with that. But it doesn't really give you a good return on investment at the institution, at the school. You're like, well, I want to major in this. I feel like this is going to help me advance myself in life. And they're like, well, we can't cover it under your Pell or federal loans, but your school might just legitimately have to say, like, we don't, some schools don't recommend it, but some schools might say, well, you can go get this private loan. That's where that comes into play. So then that's going to force you to go get a private loan. But the interest rates can be a little crazy depending where you get it from. Like and subscribe, man. Like and subscribe. Please help us get this out. Please let's go. Really, that's how it's gonna go. And so they saying right here, what we at? Okay, bring it back. So the increase will not happen all at once. It phases in over 3 years as current borrowers finish their programs under the old limits. And it affects a relatively small share of people, about 9% of graduate students, 30% of professional students, and 1% of parents. 30% of professional students. We still don't even know what professional students are technically. That's still up in the air. But for those families, private loans are about to take on a far bigger role in financing a degree. So new loan limits starting on July 1st, 2026. Pause. The federal student loan limits are changing for new borrowers. The federal grad plus loan has been replaced. Federal grad plus loan has been replaced. Has been repealed and replaced with higher annual and aggregate loan limits for federal Stafford loans to graduate and professional students. So right here, I wish they would showed it before and after, because that'd be throwing me off a little bit too. Why does this keep playing, y'all? Are they trying to set us up? So graduate students, 20,500 annual limit. The 100,000 aggregate limit. Professional students get a 50,000 annual limit, and then you get a $200,000 aggregate limit. Now, remember what I said, guys, before I get into the students eligible for the higher professional degree limits. Before I get into that, remember what we talked about. If you are a graduate student, that's after you do your fun things, when people be like freshmen, sophomores in college, once you get done with the undergraduate, a lot of people think graduate school is expensive. I think you should go where the deals are. Personally, I think you should go where the deals are in higher ed. A lot of schools right now, for example, are like Ivy's, top tier universities. Of course, you got to go to the schools who got money. How do you know if schools have money? right? How do you know if a school has money? How do you know if they got this bread, as we say? How you know this? How you know that? Well, come tap in with Speaking on Behalf. That's how you can find out if a school has money. But like your Ivies, like the schools you see on March Madness, some of them have money, some of them don't. But really, the best way to know that if a school has strong academics, that's the best way to know if a school has money. Because what people tell you, the wealthy are going to go to college. The wealthy are going to go to college. And if that wealthy person to go to college, I'm assuring you that their kids went to college. Like Bill Gates didn't finish college, but his daughters went to college, or his kids went to college, if I'm not mistaken. I know they did, but I believe he has daughters, or I think he has a son as well. But his daughters went to college. Donald Trump went to college, but his son Barron went to college. All his kids went to college and got their bachelor's degrees. The wealthy are going to college, or they're sending their kids to college, which means that if they want to ensure that their kids are getting a great academic education, right, they're going to donate money to that school to make sure they have everything they need. And just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I'm going to step back for a second. I stepped back a little too far. Let me step back for a second. Hold on. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. You could do it too. You could do it too. Like and subscribe. I gotta remember I could show y'all this instead of keeping it on one screen the whole time. Bill Gates. Bill Gates. Send that with Warren. Bill Gates. We didn't come for Bill Gates. We came for who? His children. Boom. One of his kids. Did she go to college? Let's see. She probably is in college. And look at her. They said, Google has said that she goes to Stanford. Why does she have to go to college? Her dad's a billionaire, right? Okay, let's go to another one. Jennifer. Did Jennifer go to college? Look at there. Jennifer went to the Iron School of Medicine. She went to Stanford, and what's this? I never heard of school. And the I hope I said it right, Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. If I said it right, forgive me. It's a medical school in New York. But also, where did she go? She also went to Stanford. Oh, one more? You want me to show you one more? Okay, he got one more kid up here. Rory John Gates. I don't know. Let's see if he went to college. Let's see. I don't think he's 27. Did he go to college? Yeah, they say he went. I don't know if he graduated, but he went to the University of Chicago. I don't know if he graduated. It don't look like it. He probably did. He probably didn't. College. Yeah, he graduated. They said the scholarship region, 23-year-old son of Bill Gates, Rory Gates, 23-year-old son of Bill Gates, has graduated from the University of Chicago with a double major and master's degree in creative writing. What he gonna do with a creative writing degree? Many might say, but he went to college. All of Bill Gates' kids went to college. Why am I saying this? Because we are quick to say, why do I need to go to college? But the billionaire kids are going to college. I just can't get over that. And so it just paints the picture that it's nothing against. Like, I have no like envy toward billionaires, trillionaires, multimillionaires. I'm just saying that a lot of wealthy people are sending their kids to college, and we are stuck in this mentality of that I don't need to go to college to be successful. All right. So I'm giving you an option or options. I'm giving you strategies on how you can go to college at an affordable cost so you can jumpstart your life, so that you can get something with benefits. Yeah, the benefits are usually trash. Our healthcare system in America is trash, right? But it gives you better benefits than not having none. It teaches you the system. Going to college teaches you about America, the system, politics, democracy. It just teaches you about everything in America, how to get a better grasp on this country that you're in, if you are in America, right? Or getting ready to come to America. So sorry about that rant, but I felt that was a needed rant. So right here, they say students eligible for the higher professional degree limits include students enrolled in 11 degree programs, including law, JD, medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, veterinarian, clinical, psychology, chiropractor. What is chiropractor? Chiropractor like the pop your bones and stuff. Optometry, I believe that's like eyes. If I'm right, I hope I didn't get that wrong. I don't know if I said it right. I think I said it right. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but something OST Pethic, if I said it right, medicine. Yeah, I remember this one, and I did not know what that was. And then theology. I'm still stuck on how theology is in here as a higher professional degree limit to borrow money. I'm just saying. I'm still kind of baffled by that. Not hating. I'm just baffled because my degree is not in there at all. So that's pretty much it. And it goes deeper, of course. And we're past our minute. I could keep going on this as a whole live stream, but we're actually going to come back around to it in a way because we have to talk about Department of Education and what they're doing, which is our next topic right now. Let me go to it because I was reading it, but I was like, hopefully I get a better grasp on it when I'm going through it with you all. But that was the College Investor Navigating Money and Education. Shout out to them. That was pretty good, even though we didn't really finish it all the way. Had more, of course, more into it, more information. So if you ever want to go read this in depth, if you feel like it helps you, this is the College Investor. And they're talking about tomorrow's changes that will go into effect officially for higher ed. Don't want nobody being surprised that things happening. So when you call schools, you're talking to financial aid. Financial aid might say they don't know, but they have to know. They have to learn it on the go and be checking Department of Education. So yeah. All right. But not that. So the U.S. Department of Education, we are on the U.S. Department of Education. This is an official government website. So many might say, oh, I can't trust that source. This is coming from them, whether we like it or not. They're going to, what's that? They're going to enable these changes. So the U.S. Department of Education issues final rule to hold all colleges and universities accountable for low earning programs. Now, we just talked about that. We literally just covered that. Like, look, if your school is not performing well in this program at that college you're going to, you're not going to get certain aid or certain loans potentially. And the best one that I have been talking about is if you're going to major in like cosmetology, for example, you go to one of these beauty schools, for example, this is an example, but this has been talked about. You're not going to get a lot of financial aid money to go to a beauty school. That's supposed to be part of the July 1 changes tomorrow. So you got to know, how do you know if your major is getting a great return on investment? You can call the school. You can go to this actually right here. This is a way to see the return on investment of that school so you can pick the proper major. And the best way to go about this, what I've been telling people, is that if you're going to be in political science, like you're going to have a future in politics, for example, I wouldn't major in political science. I'll minor in that, but I would do like something that's like that can get me a good paying job. Because nowadays, the way people are playing politics, I actually just seen this on breaking news. They actually they thrown out the spending cap on political races, if I'm not mistaken. So you can spend however much money you want on a campaign, it seems like now. That's the breaking headline I saw. Hopefully my political people could confirm that. I'm not gonna waste time Googling that. So today, the U.S. Department of Education announced they final. Oh, y'all can't see. I'm sorry. Today, the U.S. Department of Education announced a final rule establishing a long overdue post-secondary education accountability framework. Under the new student tuition and transparency system, STATS they call it, and earnest accountability rule, undergraduate programs will be required to demonstrate that their graduates earn more than a typical high school diploma holder, and graduate programs will be required to demonstrate that their graduates earn more than a typical bachelor's degree holder. So they're holding they're holding these colleges accountable. I'm not gonna lie, I love this that the Trump administration is doing. At least the Department of Education side. I love that because if you've been watching me from the beginning, I did not like that there were no changes on this. Even in the last administration, they were just letting this ride. And a lot of people, like, I get it. You get caught up in the blue and the red, like Crips and Bloods. I get it, but or political, like I'm talking about. You get caught up in that, right? But education, college, at least higher ed, should be independent. I don't feel like presidents, university presidents, should be dealing with political headwinds. For example, that is like if they don't say something, they get in trouble. If they do say something, they get in trouble, and it's just a terrible time to be a university president. Which is that headshot I used on the thumbnail of a university president, which we're gonna talk about that. So I love that the schools are being held accountable, though. That's going to help a lot of people who probably won't realize it, but it's going to hurt at the same time. It's going to have its pros and its cons. Like some people going to say, "Well, I want to major in this, but I can't major in it because it's not going to get funding because it doesn't perform well at this institution." So now you have to. It's going to force colleges to like. This is why I say like I'm not really that much. I'm against like the money being mismanaged, but sometimes I understand why certain people have to make a certain amount of money at colleges. Colleges are gonna have to start really making agreements, really making partnerships happen with these big corporations, these jobs, because the only way a school can really get a great return on investment with their students is that they build a pipeline. You ever seen like a pipeline where like, oh, if you get your bachelor's with us or associate's degree or master's, we have a pipeline set up with companies of X, Y, and Z. Like these companies are going to be here at career fairs. They're going to be here. They're going to make sure you get an interview. Like that's what bigger schools do, like NYU, Ivies, and these top tier universities, right? Shout out to my 2-year colleges. Some 2-year colleges have great partnerships, like with Eli Lilly and things of that nature. But you gotta it's really gonna make them work and build that, what's that word? That rapport. That's all right. Build that momentum, as I would say. So if a program fails to show, if a program fails to show at least this, modest financial return on investment for its graduates in 2 out of 3 consecutive award years, it will lose eligibility to participate in the federal direct loan program. So that's big. Pretty much what we just said. That's big. Excuse me. And it goes into like after 3 years of consistently failing, the earnings premium measure, and so on, right? Additionally, the final rule will harmonize new and existing earnings accountability measures, aligning the new earnings standard in President Trump's Working Families Tax Cuts Act with the department's existing financial value transparency and gainful employment regulations. Under the final rule, nearly all programs and sectors will be subject to the same transparency and earnings accountability framework without regard to an institution's tax status or credential level. Zoom that in for y'all real quick. This is the one I was right here. So, in quotations, this is by Undersecretary of Education Nicholas Kent. He's really like the person I believe operating everything. I don't really think it's Linda that's doing these things. Of course, I think she's just the face. He's really the one I think doing all the work, like really moving pieces. Nicholas Kent, we talked about him when he first got in the office a little bit because I didn't know nothing about him. So the Trump administration is hitting the hard reset button on higher education and implementing common sense reforms that would drive down the cost of higher education and hold all institutions, regardless of sector, accountable for low earning outcomes. That right there is beautiful. Drive down the cost of higher education. How does it make you feel? This is what's going to cost a lot of colleges to be laying off instructors, people like me, academic advisors, like staff, instructors. Like this is going to cause schools to downsize because a lot of schools have been raising their prices for no reason and they're not producing return on investment. I don't know why we don't get a lot of play for mentioning that. That can save you so much money in a nutshell. That's why I say, God, just start a 2-year. Do your math, English, psychology, your gen eds, then transfer to a university. But universities have been raising the cost for no reason, no legitimate reason. Like you have been they literally raised the prices because of sports. Oh, you got to pay our bills if you go here. Like literally, those are the reasons why nobody told you to add on this amenity and you can't afford it. So you rely on the students to pay the bill, but the students are having a hard time. It's crazy. So if that's a strategy that's actually going to be implemented and they're really going to punish them if they're not performing, that's going to be a good punishment on institutions that I support. Hey, get off my cup, bro. Yeah. Y'all know how I go down in Georgia with these snacks, right? Oh yeah, I think I got it. I don't know. Yeah, that's how. Yeah, punish them. Yeah, punish them. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm solely against universities. Don't get me wrong, guys. Like I said, I went to a university. I went to 2 of them to get my bachelor's, get my master's. I'm not against universities. I'm just saying universities have some really mismanagement going on. They have some delusional stuff going on with themselves. Like, so I'm just glad, like you said, it's adding common sense. Like, yeah, if you're not giving these kids a great return on investment, these kids are trying to leave terrible backgrounds. They're trying to get to a better way in life, and you're not really helping them, but you want to pay these executives at university multi-million dollars like they doing something. They wearing nice suits like they doing something. That's like why I love wearing a t-shirt on the live stream or a hoodie, because like, and I ain't gonna lie, I got that from tech people, like the tech people like who run tech companies and stuff. But think about, like, go see what the university president or top executives at these universities, go look at their suits they wear. They suits are crazy. I like them too though. They suits be really nice. I'm not gonna lie to you. I definitely want to be asking, like, hey, where you get that suit from? That thing is clean though. That thing is clean. But look how your students are living though. Like a lot of, like, I don't know if it was the Trump administration. I think it was at one point. They were trying to take away the food pantry. At one point, a lot of students need the food pantry, for example. Why can't schools, like, don't get me wrong, we got enough money. Like when we get donation money to universities, if I'm just talking, being real with you all, we get a lot of donation money to help sports. Why we can't get a lot of donation money to help expand the food pantry for the kids at the school who can't eat sometimes? Like for real. Like that goes on more than you think. And like, it's so many ways an institution or university, hopefully I get my shot. It's a lot of ways a university could be ran a lot better. Just putting the money in the right place. I say it'd be a lot easier too, because you already have these people who work in accounting who can help you be like, we could do this, we can't do this. The risk, you got risk management people in some schools. Like I would add that, like, what's the risk looking like if we want to allocate money more for the students to help the students? Because when you take care of your students, they're going to go tell other people. And then just like word of mouth, they're going to go tell other people how the school treats them, how they feel. And then the school is going to bring in more people, which could lead to like schools, like maybe we won't accept this many students. Like I feel like schools now don't have a limit on who they accept. They just be accepted. Like schools, at least I remember, schools used to be like, man, we only gonna keep 40,000 students. Once this batch of students graduate, we need more students and we need to get more. You open up, you figure out how to expand it, then add more students. You don't just keep adding students and burning out your instructors, burning out your staff members, burning out people, and just like, yeah, we're running the school really good. No, you're not. No, you're not. Sorry about that tangent, but that's a real tangent there. And so remember that rising rates of default and delinquency in $1.7 trillion of federal student loan portfolio. This new accountability framework is a responsible policy that will safeguard American taxpayer dollars. I still don't understand how it's going to safeguard American taxpayer dollars. Still don't know that. I haven't been hearing it, or at least nobody said it directly to be like, oh, that makes sense now. Protect students from taking on unmanageable debt for programs that cannot demonstrate a reasonable return on investment. This is the third and final rulemaking package authorized by the Act, which will rein in unsustainable student loan lending, realign post-secondary education with workforce needs, and bring uniform accountability across the higher education system. So major changes to the final rule compared to the notice of proposed rulemaking. Okay, major changes to the final rule compared to the notice of proposed rulemaking. Delay of select provisions. The department will delay implementation of the program eligibility consequences for certain programs that prepare students for employment in occupations where majority of workers receive tipped income in order to use reported earnings from the tax years with the no tax on tips policy is in effect. So we, when I go eat at restaurants, I do tip people pretty good, $5 or $10 when I eat out. That's just mandatory. So they should be making pretty good money right now, no tax on tips. Tax on tips policy is in effect, which begins with the 2026 tax year. This change results in at least 1 year delay in the rules eligibility consequences for affected programs. Program exemptions. In the final rule, the department exempts an institution from the automatic loss of Title IV. Title IV eligibility if institutions does not currently participate in the direct loan program and has not participated in the direct loan program for the 5 most recently completed award years. So that's some financial aid information right there, a little bit, that Title IV, but a lot of jargon right there. I'll be honest with you, that's jargon. And that's pretty much it. And then they go into the background. Like I said, this happened like a year ago when President Trump signed the act into law, as we said before. So should you be worried? Should you be aware? Yeah. Because it's smooth, guys. Like, it's going to happen smooth. Like they said, the consequences is going to be like, they said it's going to be, I think the consequences will have to wait to be implemented. But as far as like these schools being held accountable, just think about every school you see on the national college football playoff. Think about schools that you see on March Madness. Think about schools you see with celebrities. Like these schools are about to go through some serious changes, which leads me to my next discussion. Where is it? And once again, before we change segments, that is the United States Department of Education issues final rule to hold all colleges and universities accountable for low earning programs. Very important information. Very important. So now we go to, as I close that out, now we go to, as international enrollment falls, United States students face program cuts and higher prices. Water break. Long break. Hold on. Okay. Harrison Keller was starting only his second year as president of the University of North Texas last fall when he was abruptly confronted with a big problem. Who is Harrison Keller? Honestly, I don't know who Harrison Keller is. Harrison Keller. Not political party. What? Is a policy expert who does not explicitly align with a single political party. I didn't know he was a politician. Oh, but not politician. Well, it makes sense with university presidents, but I didn't know. But Harrison Keller was a let me see. Yeah, there you go, right there. This is Harrison Keller. Why they say he's an American violinist? Is he really? Harrison Keller was an American violinist and music educator. Wow. Keller was born in Kansas and began his violin studies at Bethany College in Lindsborg, if I said it right, Kansas. Graduate, and that's all. No, they got this the wrong person. That's the right person, but that's not him. Yeah, he don't know, because I was like, what? Graduated in 1907. They got this all the way wrong. But this is who Harrison Keller is. I'm gonna say what? See, that's why you can't. Hey, y'all, be careful with Google. Be careful with Google. So Harrison Keller is obviously got his doctor. You have to have your doctor in most conditions to be a university president. He's a 17th president. I don't ever want to get into how much he makes, but this is who they're talking about, right? And then you know what I like to do, y'all. You know I gotta show you the school real quick. This is the university. Oh, hold on. This is University of North Texas. You know I like to show y'all schools when I'm on here because ain't nobody else showing y'all this. My day in life at UNT orientation blog. Look at them using these creators. So UNT, real quick before I keep going. So this is who they're talking about. So Harrison Keller, right at the beginning. Enrollment was down, and the source of the crisis made it much worse. In the wake of the Trump administration moves to deny and revoke visas, deport international students, and impose travel bans, 2,800 students from abroad. Yeah, we cooking today. Like and subscribe, man. If you stop by, you gotta like and subscribe. We cooking today. So 2,800 students from abroad. Did I say that right? From abroad. No, I'm thinking about something. Y'all making sure I flowed it right. But yeah, deny and revoke visas, deport international students, and impose travel bans. 2,800 students from abroad who the university expected to show up had stayed away. All right, there you go. So they were expecting about 2,800 students to come to the University of Texas, University of North Texas, right? But when the Trump administration was doing, as we all know about deploying, Lord, travel bans, deportation. That's what I meant to say. Deporting international students. A lot of students who were supposed to come to the University of North Texas said, "No, I'm just gonna stay in my home country and not come there." And there's a lot going on. I know y'all remember it. I know y'all know a lot of it's still going on with the ISIS and things of that nature, right? So full tuition paying international students, especially graduate students, who Keller said bring $20,000 to $25,000 each to his bottom line, are critical to balancing the budget, underwriting services, and keeping costs lower for their domestic classmates. The loss of so many of them pushed the university $45 million into the red, Keller said, forcing it to eliminate 71 academic programs. And a continuing decline in the number of international students will mean a hit of another 47 million in lost revenue in the next academic year. According to the university budget projections, Keller said he expects the loss to be closer to 25 million thanks to ongoing spending cuts. So when you do, and then quote, I'm gonna say that last part, I picked a hell of a time to become a college president, he said. But when you do spending cuts or cuts anything, I don't care what they say, spending cuts mean adding academic advisors. Spending cuts means instructors, faculty instructors, tenure professors. Spending cuts mean like chopping these things, right? But the thing, they have their own separate budget. But what is y'all sports doing? You know? Oh, that's all I'm gonna say real quick. What are your sports doing? So I went over here. So they said right here, if you are planning to go to the University of Texas, North Texas, I keep saying Texas, but University of North Texas, update on academic program offerings. This was March 19, 2026. This is so crucial that I don't think it's funny. Remember, they said that he said they had to eliminate 71 academic programs. Now, granted, on another perspective, Some of these programs probably needed to be removed anyway. They probably wasn't performing anyway. So these programs probably wasn't a big deal, but we're going to tap in real quick on this live screen and see if these programs are really critical. Like, oh, that's a popular program. I know what that program is. So we're going to tap in and see real quick. So let me see. Yeah, I want to see the names of them. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see like 3 master programs. I want to see the names of them. That looks very tiny on y'all. Oh my goodness, I feel sorry for y'all eyes. So over the past March 19th, this one has got posted. Dear UNT faculty and staff colleagues, over the past several months, we have spoken openly about the financial challenges facing our university and our shared responsibility to address them thoughtfully and strategically. As we continue this work, we want to share an update about the ongoing evaluation of UNT's academic program. Then they say at the careful review, consultation with deans, we have made the difficult decision to begin the process of closing or consolidating certain academic programs. Y'all gonna send me to another link. All right, that's down here. So they said the most substantial change is the merger of the Department of Linguistics, pretty much linguistics, and the Department of World Languages, Literatures, and Cultures, and the phasing out of all degrees offered by the Department of Linguistics. This department has experienced a consistent decline in enrollment in its undergraduate and master's program since 2021. So if you were planning to be in the linguistics or do something related to that, but it has been on the decline. When you don't see many students in a class, guys, FYI, unless they say we can't accept more students, that's not a good sign. If you only see like 6 students, 7 students, 5 students in a classroom, that's not good. Like, hopefully you learning something in it, but normally that means that the program is shrinking. That's normally what it means. So, excuse me. So as well as relatively lower time value and higher cost of instruction. So like lower amount of students, but we're paying this instructor a lot of money to instruct it, right? Not good. So the merger will be effective September 1, 2026. In addition to the linguistics degrees, the university will phase out 3 master programs due to low enrollment, an average of 15 or fewer students per year over the past 5 years, one undergraduate major due to low enrollment as well. Like they said, lower time to value and higher cost of instruction. Pretty much, we are paying too much for instruction, and we're not really relatively lower time to value. Low enrollment, not really getting great money from students because it's only like 4 students in this program. And then, just for example, it's probably like 5 here, 5 there. It's like 10 overall, not that many of them. And then, but you're paying for a higher cost of instruction because you got to pay the growing rate, the pro rate, as my brothers would say. You got to pay the growing rate for these instructors. So, yeah. 25 undergraduate minors that have average enrollments of 20 students or fewer since 2021. And then 21 graduate and 21 undergraduate certificates that have average enrollments below 2 students per year. 2 students per year is crazy. So that is what they mean. Thought it was gonna be major. Thought they were gonna say the majors, but they mentioned some, but not like I thought it was gonna be like line by line a little bit. And then they said the problem isn't letting up. New federal figures show that international enrollment is continuing to fall, with the number of student arrivals down by 5% in March, almost 8% in April, and 1% in May, compared to the same months last year. That is on top of a drop of nearly 22% in the number who arrived last summer versus the summer before. It leaves a really big hole in the budget, which has to get filled one way or another, either by increasing tuition. University of North Texas said they either going to increase tuition, which will not be a good idea because other students can go to other schools which could force the school to close down. Do I think the University of North Texas will close down? Do I think they will close down? I don't think the University of North Texas will close down per se, but I don't know what their prices are at this school right now. But if you already, let me see if I can find it fast. Use that magnifying glass. Let me see real quick. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe. That. I like when they show me a chart. Let's see. So already in tuition and fees, before we even get into housing and food, before we even get to the total that you paying 30 grand to go here, your tuition off the rip at the University of North Texas is already going to cost you 12 grand. That's $6,000 per semester. Already $6,000 per semester when you can go at a 2-year and have that sliced by more than 50%. Like 50%, like you subtracting 50% from 6,000. That's like what? 3,000. That's like three. Hold on. Yeah, it's like 3,000, I believe. I don't got a calculator. My mental math might be on or off today. Don't get me wrong, but $12,000. And they already saying that, look, we might have to either by increasing tuition or cutting services, said Mr. Starks, a professor of economics at the University of California, Santa Barbara, where he noted international students pay more than 3 times what California students do and subsidize financial aid for their American classmates. So pretty much we were overly, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, we were overly, what it seems like what these universities have done is that we were overly in the financial world, they call this risk management. So it seemed like colleges were overly reliant, overly exposed to international students rather than domestic students, or resident, what they call domestic resident students, like students in state who are in the area or stateside. So we had more international students than we had in-house students in America. So now that the Trump administration did something that they should have possibly seen coming, like, what if we get a president that doesn't want us to have international students no more? What if political theories that came to life? And why am I so upset about it? Because you're paying these people millions of dollars, top-notch dollars, to make sure we are well prepared at our schoolhouses. So things like this don't happen, because now you're going to have to raise tuition. But the University of North Texas already charges 12 grand a year, not including housing and meal plans. Why is nobody listening to this? Why is nobody paying attention to this? Yo, 12 grand a year? They're saying they're going to increase it. This is not the only school talking like this. These are multiple universities who have to do these things. Serious business, man. Real talk. Because now students gonna say, I can't go to school. My return, like going to college ain't worth it. I can't get ahead in life. And there's other options, 2-year to 4-year articulation agreement. But now I need to go do this. So what's the return on investment if I go to the University of North Texas? Let me see. University of North Texas, real quick. Look at that. They're saying, hey, look, when you go to University of North Texas, for one, they have a 64% graduation rate. That's all right. It's above the 59%. They saying that, look, the cost of going here is a lot lower. That's if you get financial aid to go here. But then you're only going to get $59,000 a year if you go to this school. This same school that's charging you on the sticker price is 30 grand a year if you stay on campus and everything. That's 30 grand a year. So, is that for the year? Yes, for the year. And that's the new prices coming up. So 30 grand times 4. If you graduate in 4 years, 30 grand times 4. Where's my calculator? I got my phone. Sickening. 30 grand times 4. If you graduate in 4 years, that's 100. That's 6 figures. You see that? That's all. That's on the sticker price. That's on the sticker price. Now, if you get financial aid, going back to that, if you get financial aid, like they said, depending on your threshold on financial aid, like they're saying, okay, you're looking at about 16 grand for the year. I don't know if that includes meal plans or not. I don't know. So I'm still gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. 16,000 times 4. If you graduate in 4 years, once again, you're still looking at what? 64 grand for 4 years. That's if you graduate in 4 years. But they're only gonna give you a return on investment of what? $59,000 a year. Not a year, but that's gonna be your expected salary range. But they're talking about increasing the tuition per credit hour because they were overexposed to international students. But they're going to blame political figures when they should have been taking proper, what's that word? Proper risk management. So I wouldn't go to this school. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that people go here had a bad return on investment. No, I'm just saying though, that wouldn't be a smart idea if I'm reading this article and you are in the Texas area by chance. That like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, because then they gotta no. They already said we might have to either increase tuition. No, I'm not going there. Like, if you gonna pay 120 grand possibly, you know what I'm saying, for 4 years at a school, you might as well go Ivy at that point. Like, like you might as well go Ivy. That's what Ivy charge. Ivy charge that like per year, but you might as well do that route if you're gonna pay 6 figures for education. I went to undergrad. I got associates, bachelor's, master's, and I didn't pay 64 grand. I didn't even pay nowhere near 6 figures to go to college. So, yeah, yeah, that's terrible. They are not. Yeah, like you said, I picked a hell of a time to be a college president. He getting paid for it though. Y'all know how much that president make? Y'all know how much a college president make? Or that one? You know how much he made? It was right there. That's the Google AI overview, but I think he made more than that. I got Reddit in here. I don't know if that's accurate. Let's see. They say, I don't know. It's not a government website. They say he made 800,000 a year, and that probably doesn't include bonuses and all the other stuff. But they get bread. Like, you know. See, North Texas Daily faculty frustrated after years of lack of pay. Oh, my bad, y'all. Faculty frustrated after years of lack of pay raise and transparency with administrative pay raises. Like and subscribe. This helps us spread the word, y'all. For real. It was back in 2025. So I'm not saying everybody can make all the money, but I'm saying like you do need to pay people fairly according to the economy needs, right? Like pay people decently. I get everybody can't be, everybody can't make this type of money, but dang. But he don't even get paid that much compared to other university presidents, to be honest with you. But Not even gonna go down that tangent. So I think that's really, is that it for this? And then many American students and their families may not have realized how important full tuition paying international students are to university finances, said Domenico Ferrero, if I said that right, an associate professor of economics at Arizona State University. No, people don't know that. People don't value education. Of course, American students and their families know. Like, the one thing I'll say about the Trump administration, because politics plays a role in colleges and higher education, one thing I'll say about Trump administration, he said what he was going to do. So now we finna feel it. You finna feel it in college. You finna feel it in medical bills. You finna feel it in housing. You finna feel it in, if you in the stock, you finna feel it all across the board. So but I have a solution for you. You should start at a 2-year college and bridge to a 4-year under the articulation agreement / pathway. That's a way to navigate this, because I've been through the Trump administration twice since I've been in college. I had to deal with the Trump administration in undergrad, and then I had to deal with the Trump administration in grad school as well, because Trump got back in the office. So the 2-year has been like Trump proof in saving you money so you can get ahead in today's time. And then, like I say now, you have to be very like, you can't do everything normal way no more. It won't work. It just won't work. Like, all the traditional started 4-year, as we know, that does not work. That's why I'm so controversial. That's why I don't get the respect from other higher ed professionals like I should. But you can't do it the traditional way no more. And once universities catch on to that, eventually, we'll start getting better with higher education system. Unfortunately, I think that many people don't have a clear perception of what international students contribute financially. Oh, I do. It's international. It's international money. I understand it. I do. Now the consequences are becoming clear. Nationwide, international students make up 6% of enrollment, but account for 12% of revenue. They were overexposed to that. We were too reliant on international revenue. Kids like me who didn't get into these universities because of test scores or whatever, my SAT score was very low. GPA was all right, but my SAT score was very low. ACT, very low. Special education background, they could have used that federal money I had, but they took the international money. There's a lot of kids out here who are not going to college in America. So just saying. So do I have sympathy for these schools? I do not have sympathy for these schools. I have sympathy for the people who do not know that this is coming or it's happening in real time. Like, yeah, that's what I have sympathy for. But the people who knew this and they just kept making all these multi-million dollars, the Zets, the presidents, deans, and all that, whatever, like, they could have said something, but nobody. It's kind of like that scene on the let me pull it up real quick. It was not funny, but it's real though. Like, nobody's acting responsible. Literally, nobody's acting responsible. Hold on, right quick. Nobody's acting responsible right now. YouTube. It's on that big. It's called The Big Short. The movie Big Short. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Right here. So y'all see what I'm talking about when they say nobody acting responsible. This is how I feel higher education is right now.
I don't give a shit. You tell Jeff at Goldman that I'm not transferring funds. This is bullshit.
Okay, we'll talk later. Thank you. Thanks for coming so quickly, Mark. Yeah. I know you've been hearing rumblings about some losses Morgan has suffered.
Congratulations.
On what? Oh, thanks.
Having fun?
Oh, real quick, I didn't know she went to Harvard University. This person in this movie, I just seen her degree. I didn't never see that until I'm watching this with y'all. By the way,
Yes. Tons. I just wanted you to know that yes, Morgan has suffered some losses, but our liquidity is strong and there's no cause for concern.
Would Benny Klieger be concerned? Because word on the street is that he took some pretty heavy losses. Kathy, come on. We know each other. What's going on? How bad is this?
Okay. 2 years ago, Benny Klieger in Morgan's bond department also started shorting subprime housing, $2 billion in triple Bs.
Benny is smarter than I thought.
No, he's not smart at all. The premiums on the swap ate into his desk's profit. To cover his triple B shorts, he sold a lot of A and AA swaps as protection, a lot. He believed that there was no way that they could be affected.
Tell me Morgan Stanley doesn't hold the contracts on these swaps. Holy shit. All this time I've been trying to figure out who I'm betting against, and it's Morgan Stanley, which is me. What's your exposure? 3 billion? Please don't tell me it's more than 4.
I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
Yes, you can answer that because I walk in here and people are crying in your hallway. Kathy, you bring me in to tell me everything's fine and everything's not fine. What is happening?
The long exposure is 15 billion. He kept saying defaults over 8% were impossible.
Oh my God.
That there would be 1 million homeless.
Oh.
Yeah, but we have nothing to do with Morgan Stanley.
Yeah. Tell the bankruptcy court. Morgan fails, all our accounts go on their balance sheet.
It's just crazy. Morgan's makes the suckers bet and we pay their fucking gambling debt?
Short the bank stocks. We wait.
Or we sell our swaps when the market opens. We get our bonuses, our investors get their profits. We get 30 cents on the dollar. Not bad.
We're 3 times that.
Not if there's no market left to sell them in.
Forget it. We're not giving out any lifeboats.
Mark, if Morgan goes under, we end up with nothing.
Vinny. Jesus, come on. I say when we sell.
Look, I get that this is personal for you, but we have a fiduciary responsibility.
No, we don't. Nobody's acting responsible.
right there, nobody's acting responsible. Are we kidding? Nobody's acting responsible right now.
Responsibility. Are you kidding me? The assholes at the big banks. I want to take.
Like nobody's acting responsible right now. Nobody's acting responsible. You had all this time to mitigate. Like, even I didn't even take the most financial classes, and I know risk management. Don't do things like that. Not talking about that movie scene, but I'm talking about college, right? We talking about higher education. We're talking about how colleges are really universities. Like, I don't believe a school like University of North Texas will collapse. I don't know though. First time for everything, right? I don't think these not well-known schools will collapse. Now, if I start seeing well-known schools collapse, well-known schools start saying we have to like really shut down because we really don't have the revenue, and it goes into the point of like, I don't see, like, that's why I say it's such a unique situation. I'm wondering, like, will banks bail them out like typical? Everything can still run as normal? I don't know. But I'll say this. University of Texas, looking at their college scorecard, seems like a mediocre school. They seem like a mediocre school. They have 34,000 students, but they're not really, meeting the thresholds, looking at them on a quick glance. So with all that saying, and with all that information, pick your dream job carefully. Like I did that. Pick your dream job carefully, because things are changing right now. and you want to pick the right institution. This is another reason why you should tap in with us, tap in with Speaking on Behalf, like and subscribe, share us, like go to a certain part, show it to somebody, like really consider a college, university, whatever one, really look into before going there. Consider what program you want to do, because certain programs will not be getting aid, federal aid. And some schools will, since they won't get the federal aid, you will have to result back to a what? You have to result back to a private loan, which will not be good for you in the long term. Ow. Which would not be good for you in the long term. So I'm not coming as a know-it-all. I'm just coming as a person who goes through the things with you during the live stream. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I sit here and stalk this like a hawk in my spare time. But being on live stream with you all does keep me in the loop. It's obvious to see. Yeah. So pick your dream job carefully. I think it's gonna come to a time where we have to do what we don't want to do. We have to take a job. We have to not take a job, but we have to go to school for something that's going to be like money giving. Like I would say this. I got my bachelor's degree and associate's degrees in something that can make me decent money if I need to go to like work in HR, human resource. That's an easy pivot. And so if I need to go to that, I got an associate's degree in that. I have a degree in organizational behavior, organizational leadership. I said organizational behavior. It is organizational behavior, but organizational leadership. And so that can do pretty well in most cases. But then I made it known that I wanted to get a master's in something that I was actually good at. You know, out of all the majors I thought about, I felt like higher education was one that I was really good at. Unfortunately, this curriculum comes with politics. Luckily, I did learn about that in a great deal. So I'm learning about that as I go to change the game as I go. But I knew that higher education and undergrad wasn't a good idea. That's what I'm saying. Majoring in higher education, majoring in a career field that doesn't pay well, really, unless you're at the top, that wasn't going to be a good major to get my bachelor's in. So I chose to do that in grad school. Less time. The pay with the price of the college was pretty good. It wasn't crazy. So that's what you have to consider. Like, yeah, you might want to be an art major, but you probably want to get a job and like you probably want to go to school for not banking, but like finance or something and learn how to finance better. So when you do go, if you do want to get like a master's in art, you have something that can finance your art. You know, I just kind of felt like that would go to felt like that was kind of smooth. How I did that. Dad joke, not dad joke, but dad kind of what's that dad advice a little bit. So that's something to keep in mind though. You know, pick a major in undergrad that can make you money when you graduate. That's why I say go to a 2-year, because then you can get 3 different degrees. Or you can get your bachelor's and skip to a doctoral if you plan on getting that. So you get your associates, you can major in business with associates. Then when you go for your bachelor's, you can switch that up and do something else that's like, oh, I heard they're making a lot of money in fintech. Then you can probably do something like fintech related. Then you can take it to another level. Then you can go and get, like I said, you can get a master's, or you can skip the master's and go to a PhD. Some schools let you go from bachelor's to doctoral. You don't have to get a master's. If you feel like you're ready for a doctoral, you can skip the master's. But on that note, once again, pick your dream job carefully. Like and subscribe, please. Thank you for watching. We'll be back on with work schedule changes. So if I do start live streaming again on the second day out the week, I got to figure out what that second day gonna be. And so that is changing. It probably, let me see. Because we used to live stream on Fridays, but not many of y'all was tapping in on Fridays. So we changed it for Fridays. So we have to see. We have to see. Like and subscribe. Thank you again. See you again soon. And be safe. Enjoy your weekend. And don't have too much fun, but have fun.